Hey everyone, today we're going to discuss fasted exercise and whether it leads to more fat loss than fed exercise. I've actually touched base on this as a one pointer in terms of fat loss video in the fat loss videos, and the videos I've covered were fat loss and also in cardio videos as well. So if you watched my videos, you probably have an inkling of what the answer is, but I'm going to go into further details. So let's stay put. Fasted exercise doesn't lead to more fat loss than fed exercise. Was you getting the same answer? If you watch my videos, you should have. So the common logic used by proponents of fasting exercise is that more body fat will be burned as glucose and glycogen stores are lower after obviously you fasted and not been having food, in terms of then having carbs and having sugar stored in the body. This is true, okay, and technically more body fat is burned during fasted exercise, but that doesn't actually matter because fat burning equals divided equals fat loss. What does that mean? If two versions of you ate exactly the same food each day and did exactly the same exercise, but one version trained fasted and the other trained after eating, both would result in the same total fat loss. Now, isn't that interesting? I'm just going to repeat that again. If the same version of you ate exactly the same food each day and did exactly the same exercise, but one version trained fasted and one version trained after eating, both would result in the same total fat loss. I know that might be a bit of a wake-up call for some people that get up and drag themselves out of bed for fasted cardio and then come back. Now, don't confuse that with suddenly not doing any cardio, because you wouldn't be burning the same calories, okay? So whether you go fed doing the cardio or whether you go fasted, like I said, to a certain extent, yes, because your glycogen levels are less, so you're not burning through as many carbs when you're fasted and you're going directly into the fat reserves. But when you're fed, you are still burning the same amount of calories, okay? And although fasted version burns more fat during exercise, they still have the same total food intake later in the day, and that needs to be stored and utilized. So you're just adding it back on, if you understand what I'm saying. The other version where you're fed is burning more glucose carbohydrates during the training session, but they have the less food coming in after the session that needs to be stored and utilized. So they will utilize more body fat during the day. Can you see what I'm getting at? Because in the end, throughout the day, whether you're moving or not, you're burning your carbs through your bodily function and your brain anyway. So if you're not piling it in, let's make this extremely clear. You go fasted and then you eat your breakfast, okay? You go fed, let's say a banana, and then you come back and you eat your breakfast but minus the banana. At the end of the day, you're doing the same, because throughout the day until, let's say, you do training at night, or if you're not doing training at night, it's just those two sessions, fasted and non-fasted, you are burning the carbs throughout the day, okay? You're burning the same carbs throughout the day. But when you've eaten less after that session, okay, you are likely to tap into the fat reserves then. If you're fasted and then you have your whole breakfast, you are then obviously, you've got your carbs to burn through, and then it will get to the fat reserves. If the total food and exercise is the same, it ends up balancing itself out, to be honest. So if your calories and your burnt out calories and the calories coming in are the same, there really isn't a difference, okay? because some people try and do the fasted cardio for so long, and you can do it and there is health benefits. A lot of people do that. Or the fasted training session. Okay, for me, I would not do a fasted training session. You know, I really need something to keep me going. I feel you can lift heavier, but in terms of getting a walk in maybe, or a bit of movement before your breakfast, yes, I'm a big advocate from that. You'll have to listen to your body. And if you've been killing yourself to do fasted cardio and then you're training in the evening, unless you're competing where you're on very limited macros, then there's a difference. But if you're not, there's not really that much difference. Unless you're doing it for a health benefit where you're trying to sustain a bit longer, of having your stomach empty for digestive reasons or for whatever it is. But some people also, and especially women, during certain periods of your cycle in the month, you should not be doing fasted cardio where you're putting extra stresses on your body, especially after your 12 days from the fast day, where then you are trying to conceive, or your body is going through a lot more of a pressurized cycle in terms of your body. So, you know, whether you're trying to conceive or not, especially if you're trying to conceive, no. And that's why also I haven't done a video, but I do want to do a video in terms of your nutrition support and the exercises of when you can train harder, when you should slow it down, when you should probably do a bit of restoration practices, when you should actually do maybe high intensity or more cardio than the muscle training, and what you can expect that supports your body during that time, and also what your body's going through is going to support you in terms of hormone release. I do have a video on yoga that talks about yoga during your menstrual cycle. I touched base on this slightly, so do check that out. But if you're not female, then thank you for sitting in through that. It's really important, because I'm sure you've got females around you can support them. Another perspective is you are likely able to train harder and better after eating in a lot of cases as well, especially if you are trying to progress. But regardless of the logic, the research shows this too. Training fasted has not been found to be superior or inferior to fat loss. And if you have other options why you prefer to train fasted, that's completely fine. Like I said, it's just that if you're doing it solely for the purpose of fat loss, if it isn't the approach that improves the outcomes. And that's really what I wanted to say. It's not a big win. It's not something that you are going to make a large impact on. It could actually go down the other way, but this, again, it depends. If you're competing, it depends on other stuff like your macros or whatever else you're doing. Fasted exercise basically is not superior to fed exercise for fat loss. I think it has disadvantages, especially if you're thinking about the weight training side of it. I can see the logic on how it can be concluded, like I said, in terms of the carbs and glycogen burn that would lead to more fat loss. In terms of science, the research shows that when calorie intake and total exercise is actually matched, fasted and fed exercise get the same results. Again, this is different if you're trying to do a cardio session fasted and then you're doing your training, or you're doing a fed cardio, or you're not doing any cardio and then you're doing your training. That's a difference, because there's a difference of output and there's different intake. It also makes sense that when you think about a larger perspective, including the ways which your body can balance things out across the day, if you burn more carbs or fat at a specific point in time, and then throughout the day you can burn more if you're in, let's say, person B. Why is this good news and why am I letting you know? Because it gives you the power of personal preference, okay? And you can train after eating if you prefer and get the same results while feeling like you can actually push a lot harder. I'm talking about strength training here, or whatever your training is, especially if it's high intensity, that I would not do high intensity if you are fasted, okay? But if you want to train fasted, there are no red flags. Apart from, I would not do the extremely high intensity days on those. But you can do. I mean, it's challenging, and that would make it an option as well. It's really down to your personal preference, but don't tie it into, if you're just someone who is not competing, that you need to do fasted cardio or fasted training to actually burn more fat. No, actually there's advantages and there's disadvantages to both. It's really what works for you, but I can guarantee you, if you're looking at a full-on exercise in terms of strength training or progressing, fasted is not going to be the best for you. Fasted in terms of, for example, going for a walk, zone 2 cardio, is probably beneficial just to get your movement of your body, but again, it's not going to be a big changer in terms of weight loss or fat loss. So I hope this clarified a little bit for you, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a great day.